Hey, what's up? It's Bond. Let's talk about Mass Effect. And let's take a little journey down what I call obvious BS lane. Let's talk about a leak and get into why it's probably not legit. Okay, so here it is on the infamous Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit. Um, this subreddit's interesting because it does fairly often have leaks on it, incredible rumors, but always pretty much after they've shown up other places. But if you don't want to be all over the place all the time and you want to get those kind of after they've already been news, this is a good place to do it. What it's also a depository for is just clear bullshit. So let's talk about this post that I wasn't going to make a video on, but then I saw a few other people did, and I figured the cat was kind of out of the bag, but I want to focus on why it's probably not real. So here we have a post on the subreddit. The title of the post is Dragon Age Origins Remake in the Works at BioWare. This is sourced from a 4chan post, which is about all you really need to know, but we'll continue anyways. And even the poster acknowledges that you should take this with a grain of salt. The first leak that's supposedly in here is about Dragon Age Dreadwolf. It says the game production is very advanced, mostly missing our textures. Currently scheduled for Q2 2025, BioWare needs the game to sell dozens of millions and impress audiences, which is why it's taking so long. Plays like Inquisition with improved combat and UI. The game is ending the Dragon Age franchise storyline. So the thing to consider about all three of these games that are being talked about here, in the leaks, quote unquote, in here, is that the way that you do this kind of thing is you basically make you say things that are logical, that are maybe even likely, and then you sprinkle in some stuff that's like just not right. And so I understand that for the average person who doesn't pay attention to a lot of stuff, you may read this and be like, "Oh, whoa, this is crazy." But there's multiple things here. So the game production is very advanced, mostly missing our textures. I I don't know what that means. I mean, I've played games in like pre-alpha that were missing some texture work, but at least in my experience, games that are in the stage that Dreadwolf likely is, it's at least in alpha, it's probably in beta, and they're probably wrapping that up. There shouldn't be like missing textures, and so this just comes off like something that if you asked a 12-year-old to write up a bunch of fake gaming leaks about a game that's coming, this seems like something they would say, like, yeah, it's just missing some stuff. Like, so I don't know, that doesn't sound like it comes from someone who's very knowledgeable on what's going on. The second one here, the currently scheduled for Q2 2025, BioWare needs the game to sell dozens of millions and impress audiences, which is why it's taking so long. Now, what this does is it takes a obvious statement of this game needs to do well, and then adds on more to that. So a statement that you don't need to be a leaker to understand is that Dreadwolf needs to do well. BioWare needs a win. This is not a secret. This is not a leak. Maybe it's not something they've posted on their blog, but it's something you can, figure out yourself. The schedule for Q2 2025, if they're, we do know Dreadwolf is going to get an announcement, some kind of info dump in June of 2024. EA has been doing like a 6-month hype cycle, and so I think it's way more likely we'll get it by the end of 2024. And that when they set that date for June, that is the first time they've ever really acknowledged that they're going to give us a big update. I would be amazed if this game doesn't come out in 2024. So again, it's plausible this game could come out in Q2 2025 if they have more issues, but we have no reason to believe that, and it's just one of those things that you sprinkle in because it's plausible, but it's also completely likely not true at all. The plays like Inquisition, it just doesn't mean anything. That's yeah. Of course they're going to improve the combat and the UI. It's improving. It's a sequel to a game from over 10 years ago. Like yeah, or around 10 years ago. And then the game ending the Dragon Age franchise. I mean, maybe, but probably not. Like that's one of their main franchises. So is what it is. The Mass Effect 4 game is in pre-alpha. Poster guess is a 2030 release. Only Destroy ending will be considered canon. New N7 protagonist. Rex, Liara, Garrus will be back. Leviathans and Geth will be the villains. Again, this is, ask your just some random person to come up with some leaks for this game. The pre-alpha thing is weird because we know the game is in pre-production, and so sure, in theory, any game that isn't in alpha yet is in pre-alpha, I guess. But pre-alpha for a lot of studios, at least in the games I've interacted with, doing early testing and stuff like that, pre-alpha is a stage of development where like a lot of the game is done. Like it may even be like it's probably playable. All the big stuff is there. Now, like I said before, this may be a thing where everything may not be fully textured or animated, and there may be a lot of developer stuff, like where you can trigger events in the world just so you can test things. You can like run over a sphere that will spawn an enemy so you can test out animations and just stuff like that, right? But a game that, if their prediction is real, 2030, no game that's coming out in 2030 is in an actual pre-alpha stage, at least not one that I've ever heard of. No dev would ever describe a game that's in pre-alpha that is likely still in pre-production. I suspect that the Mass Effect 4 they've probably made some vertical slices. They're probably conceptualizing some gameplay stuff and things like that. But pre-alpha means that they've like worked on the game significantly, and that a lot of the big things are there. So this idea of a game that isn't supposed to come out till 2030, which maybe that's true, I don't think it is, but we'll have to wait and see, is in pre-alpha right now. Those things just don't make sense together, at least in my experience. The Destroy ending, and that's maybe, I mean, that's, you can presume that, but okay, like there has been some evidence to that in some of the marketing and media they've done during the last couple of N7 days, but who knows? Like we don't know, and especially this last N7 day has, in my opinion, basically tanked any theories people already had. A new N7 protagonist, I mean, that's the easiest leak to fake in the world. They showed a new N7 in the last big trailer. Rex, Liara, Garrus will be back. Like, maybe, but why would Garrus be back? Like, Rex and Liara make sense because they're of species who can live a really long time. And the longer, there's so many theories about this next game now that maybe it takes place, far after 3, maybe it doesn't. Saying that 3 iconic characters for a franchise will be back isn't like hard to fake, and then Leviathans and Geth will be the villains. That to me is 100% someone spends a lot of time on the Mass Effect subreddit and just decided to give some of those ideas, because there couldn't be anything more lame than the Leviathans being the antagonist, in my opinion, because it's just Reapers 2.0. And the Geth, like, if they make them the bad guys for a 4th game, I mean, I would think it's funny because I don't like the Geth, but I find that hard to believe. I think we're going to be seeing the game bringing the Geth into the rest of the galaxy. And then the final game is this Dragon Age remake. It comes along with this really obviously fake art that's in it. And it says it's going to be titled Dragon Age Re-Origins, in very early in development, and a mostly one-to-one remake of the original, like the Dead Space remake, but improved gameplay and branching decisions, story paths for stuff that already existed in the original. Again, this legitimately feels like some 13-year-old just decided to make a post on 4chan and worded all these things in a very like normie kind of way for someone who knows the games. I mean, the title Re-Origins, I mean, maybe EA and BioWare would have an awful name like that for a game. I highly doubt it. They're very early in development, like, okay, sure. And then mostly a one-to-one remake, which it will need to be. They can't remaster Origins. The engine it's on isn't like Unreal 3, where they can just upgrade it with some Unreal 4 stuff, like they did with Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So it would have to be a legit from the ground up remake. Here's the problem: there is zero chance that's being done by BioWare. So if this person is supposedly a BioWare insider and knows this stuff about Dreadwolf and Mass Effect 4, why would they know this much about a Dragon Age Origins remake? Because there is zero chance they are doing a remake, maybe a remaster, but not a remake in BioWare right now that's in any kind of development, because it seems like they're struggling to even fully staff Dreadwolf, which is why they took developers from the Mass Effect 4 pre-development team, the pre-production team. So again, this to me just, seems like it's just a big farce. And while it's fun to speculate and think about, probably shouldn't be taken too seriously. I feel conflicted about even showing those kind of leaks and talking about them and stuff, because it just perpetuates them. If you're watching this video, you're probably someone who looks a little deeper into these things and doesn't, and realizes, that these things probably aren't true. The tough part about them is kind of what I said before. Some of the things in that post are probably true, but it's the broken clock is right twice a day thing, where they're coincidentally or incidentally true. The person who posted that doesn't know any of those things. But if you paint a really broad brush, if you make really vague statements like improved combat and UI, well, sure, of course you're probably going to be right, because of course those things are going to improve. It's, a game that's, it's a sequel to a game 10 years later. It better be improved. And so these things are going to get more and more common, especially as BioWare seems to struggle with how much to tell us and what to tell us, or maybe even having things to tell us at all. I think we're only going to see more of this stuff, unfortunately. I'll happily kind of debunk, or at least give my take on some of these things. And I don't know, if I'm wrong later on, then I have this awful feeling that one day there will be a game called Dragon Age Reorigins, and I'll be so mad. But it's just so stupid, and it seems so unlikely right now, and I'm sticking with my original opinion. So I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comments about these leaks. If you like this video and you like Dragon Age and BioWare products and Mass Effect and just gaming in general, please subscribe to the channel, and like the video if you did. If you want to support me and the content I make, please consider becoming a YouTube member. You can find me as Bond Diesel all over the internet, including over on Twitch, where I do stream a few times a week. And be sure to check out my 2 gaming podcasts that are on this channel and over on all podcast platforms. That's all I have for this one. So until next time.